On this day in history in 1937, Amelia Earhart disappears near Howland Island. Amelia Earhart navigated Frederick, attempting to fly around the world when they were lost in Howland Island. The last radio contact Earhart she was lost and low on
She vanished without a scream. No wreckage, no final message, no body to bury. Just a plane, a promise, and a silence so deep it still echoes nearly a century later. On July 2nd, 1937, Amelia Earhart took off over the Pacific Ocean and never came back. The most famous woman pilot in the world disappeared into thin air, leaving behind one of history's greatest mysteries. But to understand why her disappearance still haunts us, we have to look at who she really was, where she came from, and what she was chasing when she flew straight into legend. Because Amelia Earhart was not just a woman who vanished. She was a woman who refused to stay grounded. Amelia Mary Earhart was born in 1897, at a time when the world had very clear rules about what women were supposed to be. Quiet, polite, domestic, invisible. She was none of those things. Her childhood was unstable. Her father struggled with alcoholism, and her family moved often. Money came and went. Security never stayed. But in that chaos, Amelia developed something rare: independence. She learned early not to rely on comfort or certainty. She learned to rely on herself. As a young girl, she climbed trees, built homemade roller coasters, and collected newspaper clippings about women who defied expectations. She wore bloomers instead of dresses. She cut her hair short. She hated being told what she couldn't do. And yet, aviation wasn't her dream at first. Flying barely existed as a serious field. Planes were fragile machines made of wood and fabric. Pilots were considered daredevils, sometimes fools. And women pilots, almost unheard of. Everything changed in 1920. At a small airfield in California, Amelia paid $10 for a short plane ride. The flight lasted barely 10 minutes. But as the plane lifted off the ground, something clicked. Later, she would say, "As soon as I left the ground, I knew I myself had to fly." From that moment on, the earth felt too small. Learning to fly in the early 1920s was dangerous, expensive, and dominated by men who didn't take women seriously. Amelia worked multiple jobs to pay for lessons. She drove trucks, she worked as a photographer, she saved every dollar. Her first instructor was a woman, Netta Snook, one of the few female pilots in America. Amelia absorbed everything. She wasn't flashy, she wasn't reckless. She was focused, disciplined, and methodical. In 1922, she set a women's altitude record, flying higher than any woman before her. In 1923, she became only the 16th woman in the world to earn a pilot's license. But then, life interfered. Financial struggles forced her to sell her plane. Aviation slipped away. For a moment, it seemed like flying might become just another dream she had to let go. Then came the phone call that changed everything. In 1928, Amelia Earhart was invited to join a transatlantic flight. She wouldn't fly the plane, she wouldn't navigate, she would simply be a passenger. The media didn't care. When the plane landed in Europe, newspapers exploded. Amelia was instantly famous. Headlines called her Lady Lindy, comparing her to Charles Lindbergh. Cameras followed her everywhere. Interviews piled up. But Amelia felt uncomfortable with the praise. She knew the truth. She hadn't actually flown across the Atlantic, she had been cargo with a smile. Instead of enjoying the fame, she made a decision that would define her life. She would earn it. 4 years later, in 1932, Amelia Earhart did what no woman had ever done before. She flew solo across the Atlantic Ocean, alone. For nearly 15 hours, she battled freezing temperatures, mechanical problems, and exhaustion. Ice formed on her wings. Her altimeter failed. Her engine sputtered. At one point, she thought she might crash into the sea, but she kept going. When she landed in Ireland, Soaked and shaking, she had rewritten history. She was no longer a symbol, she was a pilot. And the world listened. Fame followed her everywhere. But Amelia used it differently than most celebrities. She didn't chase luxury. She chased purpose. She spoke openly about women's independence. She encouraged women to enter aviation, science, and engineering. She co-founded an organization for female pilots that still exists today. She wore practical clothes. She lived openly with her husband, publisher George Putnam, in a marriage that defied traditional expectations. She didn't pretend fear didn't exist. She acknowledged it. Courage, she once said, is the price that life exacts for granting peace. But courage has a cost. By the mid-1930s, Amelia had already set multiple records. She flew solo from Hawaii to California. She broke speed and distance records. There was nothing left to prove, except one thing. She wanted to fly around the world. A round-the-world flight was not just dangerous, it was almost unthinkable. Navigation tools were crude, weather forecasting was unreliable, planes were fragile. One mistake meant death. Amelia didn't want the shortest route. She wanted the hardest one, following the equator. It would be longer, riskier, and unprecedented. Her first attempt failed when her plane was damaged during takeoff. Many would have stopped there. Amelia didn't. In 1937, she tried again, this time with navigator Fred Noonan, an experienced expert in celestial navigation. Together, they set off on a journey that captured global attention. Day by day, they crossed continents and oceans. Newspapers tracked their progress. Radio operators waited for their signals. The world held its breath. By late June, they had completed most of the journey. Just one major stretch remained, a flight over the Pacific from New Guinea to a tiny speck of land called Howland Island. A dot in the ocean, easy to miss, impossible to see from the air. And that's where everything went wrong. On July 2, 1937, Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan took off before dawn. Their plane was heavily loaded with fuel. The sky was uncertain, communication was unreliable. As they approached Howland Island, radio messages grew tense. Amelia reported low fuel. She said she couldn't see the island. Signals became fragmented, confusing, faint. Then came her final confirmed transmission. "We are running north and south." And then nothing. No crash was reported, no distress signal followed. Silence swallowed the sky. The largest search operation in history was launched. Ships, planes, and thousands of miles of ocean were combed. The US government spent millions. They found nothing. No wreckage, no oil slick, no bodies. After weeks of searching, the operation was called off. Amelia Earhart was declared lost at sea. But the story didn't end there. Almost immediately, theories began to surface. Did her plane run out of fuel and crash into the ocean? Did she land on a remote island and survive for days, maybe weeks? Was she captured by foreign forces? Did she assume a new identity and live in secret? Over the decades, fragments have appeared. Bones found on islands, radio signals reported days after her disappearance, artifacts that might have belonged to her. Nothing conclusive, everything debated. The mystery became part of her legacy, and in a strange way it fit her perfectly. Amelia lived on the edge of the known world. She challenged limits. She flew where maps were uncertain. Perhaps it was inevitable that she would disappear into the unknown. But here's the irony. She wasn't chasing death. She was chasing possibility. What made Amelia Earhart extraordinary wasn't just her courage. It was her humanity. She doubted herself. She feared failure. She knew the risks. Before her final flight, she wrote letters acknowledging the possibility she wouldn't return. She didn't believe she was invincible. She believed the risk was worth it. And that belief changed the world. After her disappearance, aviation continued to grow. Women entered cockpits, laboratories, and control towers. Her story inspired generations to push boundaries, even when the outcome was uncertain. She became more than a pilot. She became a symbol of daring, of ambition, of refusing to live safely when greatness demands risk. Nearly a century later, Amelia Earhart remains frozen in time, forever young, forever airborne, forever just beyond the horizon. We may never know exactly what happened in those final hours over the Pacific, but perhaps that's not the most important question. The real question is this: what do we do with the sky she opened for us? Because Amelia Earhart didn't disappear trying to escape the world. She disappeared trying to expand it, and maybe that's why her story still grips us. Not because she was lost, but because she dared to fly where the answers weren't guaranteed, and sometimes that's the price of changing history.